Was there a point when you really got incredibly exasperated with Bill Clinton? Was there a moment at which you decided this is just nuts? I've had enough.
No. I mean, it was all, and you'd have to just grow up in South Louisiana and Baton Rouge, and it was all about sex. And honestly, to me, that's just pussy business. Who cares? Okay. It just was my kind of like, and people would get all fainting in the street. And what did we tell the children? No, tell them what you want to. What did Frank Rich famously say? You don't have to tell them anything. The second husband will tell them. But no, it never even remotely. It might be just the culture I grew up in, but in Washington, I think you'll agree with this. To some extent, it's a very kind of prudish place almost.
Yeah. I mean, there is another Washington that I've definitely been a part of that is not that prudish.
But the Demo Party,
no, absolutely,
cocktail party crowd is in New Orleans, Baton Rouge. Who gives a shit?
It's also a Catholic and a Protestant thing. I remember when my mother was talking about this to me once. It came up in some way, and she said, "Well, it's a sin." But it's not the worst sin. And in some ways, it's the most forgivable sin because I think it was Malcolm Muggeridge that said that he had he thought that lust was completely defensible because it was so always give, give, give. He thought it was an inherently generous vice. But there were questions in a couple of cases, maybe because of the number of women he slept with. This is kind of, we should be noticed a small number, but there were a few that said he abused them in some way.
I could go and give you a chapter verse and who was this and that. But again, when I grew up, it's one thing, a little bit different being French Catholic. I think the Irish Catholics are way more judgmental than the French or the Italians.
Yes, they're the worst. They're the worst.
Yeah, and I'm from Ireland. I go to family reunion usually every Labor Day in Ireland, but the church there has completely destroyed itself. It doesn't even exist anymore.
In Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's staggering. It's amazing. It's astonishing. Would you ever believe that? Same in Spain.
It happened overnight. I mean, on history's clock, it all happened in 15 years. But boy, did it happen. And
the two countries that have veered furthest away are the ones whose churches were the most political, Spain and Ireland, where the church had been deeply involved in government and power, it seems to me. And I think part of this is a rejection of all of that in the past as well.